Bonjour tout le monde, c'est moi Charlotte. Aujourd'hui je fais cette vidéo juste à côté à ma fille qui dort. Okay? Donc vous allez peut-être entendre ces petits ronflements comme ça. Ok, c'est ma petite fille. Ok, donc je suis désolée pour ça, mais je fais ce que je peux et voilà. So everyone, hi. This is actually the June video for my French club. And ici, nous avons une image du soleil. The sun, le soleil. And in this month's handout, we've got a text that I've taken from parlonsscience.ca. So that's Let's Speak Science. That's the translation of that website. Parlons is the new form of the verb parler, and that means let's do something, or we are speaking in the present tense. So it's like the imperative, like let's do this. Science is science, and .ca is the sort of ending for the Canadian website. So I wonder if you can see that there. Parlons science.ca. So what I've got is a list of the verbs, most of the verbs, which can be found in the text. And then we've got the text itself, which I don't think I've changed. All I've done is I've put the verbs in whatever form they are in red. And then what else? Then I've asked for you to find the translations of, or the counterparts of some of the I've just seen I've put a few of them in English and I've put a few of them in French. So what I need to do is put that bit there. I just need to amend this before I send it out to you. Counterparts for some of the little phrases, okay? French counterparts. So you have to find iterations of the verbs that appear in the text. We'll look at what the verbs mean. Look at the text itself and sort of understand it basically, and then find the translations. There'll be a link in the handout to this video. There it is. I always add the link just after I've done it, and then I create a PDF and I send it to my students in an email. And yeah, and there's also some essential weather-related vocab which you can find at that link. It's a really good website, learn2french.com, which I used to use a lot. So yeah, there's some links to external websites. The original text website with the text that we're looking at, so I've borrowed it from elsewhere, which is what I've been doing a lot lately. In previous clubs I would create my own content, but it's quite nice to find something that's like currently online that you can go and check out yourself, explore, click around. Someone else has written it, but I always give the I always cite where I've got it from so that you can see. Right, what I'm going to do is just put my tablet on because there's a few things in here which I need to double check the meaning for. While I'm doing that, I'll show you the website I tend to use for verifying words or looking for synonyms or looking for a conjugation tool. So you can also download the app, but here we've got wordreference.com. Let me just find and get the French. So I was going to look at the meaning of déclencher, cause or bring about, déclencher, déclencher. Okay, trigger, yeah, to trigger or to spark. That's probably the one I was looking for. So here we've got the website wordreference.com, and again you can get the free app, which is definitely worth doing. But because I'm using a browser, I'm just looking at the website. So what I chose, there's lots of different language combinations, but you can choose from a drop-down list here which languages you want, and whether you want to look up a French word and get the English, or get English to French, or whatever. So I typed in the word déclencher because I couldn't quite think of the perfect equivalent when I'm translating and explaining back to you. So, and often there's lots of different kind of ways of translating something depending on the context. So trigger and spark, to spark or trigger, are reaction, a nuclear reaction in this case, because we're talking about the sun and what it actually is scientifically. So to cause or to provoke or to trigger or to start, they're all basically the same thing. But if you want something with a kind of fiery, luminous kind of element to it, you might use the word spark, okay, to spark something. So that also means cause, but it's got this idea of brightness and suddenness and heat, like a spark. Okay, so let's see if we can get through this without my daughter waking up. Croissant les doigts. Okay, let's cross fingers. Okay, so first thing I'll do is I'll read this out to you. Hopefully you can hear, and I'm sorry if it's a little bit quiet. I'm using my phone here. I've got it until I'm back in my office or in an office of my own. I've got to just make do with what I've got, I'm afraid. So thank you for being so patient with me. My circumstances have just been up in the air, so I'm really working with what I can, okay? I'm doing my best. So, qu'est-ce que le soleil? Because it's basically, this is for the June 2024 French club, but it's actually July now. It's the 2nd of July, the day that I'm recording this. So excusez-moi, je suis un peu en retard de quelque chose, excusez-moi. So we're talking about le soleil because it's the summer. I'm feeling inspired and happy, and so hence I've taken le soleil as the theme for the club. And then I found at parlonsscience.ca a text which is explaining what the sun is. So let me read it to you. Qu'est-ce que le soleil? What is the sun? Pour comprendre ce qu'est le soleil, il faut d'abord, so you're just listening now. Pour comprendre ce qu'est le soleil, il faut d'abord comprendre ce qu'est une étoile. Une étoile. Les étoiles sont formées à partir de nuages de gaz et de poussière. Ces nuages sont éparpillés un peu partout dans la plupart des galaxies. Galaxies. Parfois, les matières dans ces nuages se regroupent ensemble. Cet amas commence à créer de la gravité qui attire encore plus de matière. La force de la gravité fait en sorte que les matières se réchauffent. Excusez-moi, il y a un accent aigu. Se réchauffe. Éventuellement, le centre ou noyau devient assez chaud pour déclencher de la fusion nucléaire. À ce stade, une étoile est née. I need to remember to look there. So, let's go through that again, shall we? There was something else I was going to check. What was that? Right. Faire en sorte. I think that's sort of to bring about, to make happen. Faire en sorte. So this is the kind of thing you can also look at, like, not just singular words, but actual idioms. Like groups of words. Yeah, to ensure that, okay, to make sure, okay, to ensure or to make sure. So on this little board I've got here, I've written out what we're looking at. I'm just going to put that a little bit. Okay, so qu'est-ce que le soleil? Qu'est-ce que le soleil? What is it that is the sun, if you like? Qu'est-ce que means what is it? Le soleil, and then got a little drawing of le soleil there, un petit image. So what is it? What is the sun? So this is what it says. Pour comprendre ce qu'est le soleil, in order to, or for understanding, pour comprendre, pour plus an infinitive verb there. The infinitive verb comprendre means to understand. So to understand ce qu'est le soleil, to understand what the sun is, il faut d'abord. Il faut means one must, or it's necessary to. D'abord means first off, or first of all, to start with. Comprendre, that's il faut means one must, or it's necessary to. And if you follow it by an infinitive verb, it means it's necessary to understand, is necessary to go, to be, to see, whatever it's necessary to do. Ce qu'est, that which, or that which it is. That's the verb être, it is. Une étoile, a star. Une étoile, a star. Étoile is a feminine noun. So, what is the sun? In order to understand what the sun is, you have to first understand what a star is. And then we've got the plural, les étoiles. Liaison between the S in les and the initial E. We've got an accent aigu, which makes it an E sound at the beginning of étoile. Les étoiles sont, stars are, that's the verb to be, être. They are, elles sont. Les étoiles sont formées, that's made up of or formed. It's got formé there, acts like a kind of adjective. They are made of. So it's describing the stars. And hence, formé has an extra E and an S because it's describing les étoiles, which is a plural noun. And adjectives that are in the feminine have an extra E at the end. So formé has an extra E and an S. À partir de means from, made up of, basically. Out of, made up of, composed of something. They are made up of de nuages. So, à partir de is all one kind of phrase. Nuage is clouds. Nuage de gaz, clouds of gas. Et de, and of, so made up of clouds of gas and of. Poussière is dust. Point, full stop. Ces nuages, that means these clouds. Ces with a C-E-S. Where's it gone? Voilà, ici. That means these. It's a demonstrative pronoun. So it's like ce and ces and also cette. So they all mean this or these. There's also C-E-T-T-E, which is, for example, if I said this star, I'd have the word star, étoile, and it would be preceded by cette, C-E-T-T-E, and that would mean this feminine noun, this star. Here we have, no, we don't actually. If I said this sun, ce soleil, instead of le, which means the sun, it would be ce, a C and an S. Sorry, a C and an E, because it's a masculine singular noun, it would look like this. But when we got plural nouns like nuage, we're saying these, we use CES there. Got another one here which we'll look at in a minute. Ah, voilà. Ces nuages sont éparpillés. These clouds are spread out or scattered. Un peu, a little bit. Partout, a bit everywhere. Kind of scattered a bit everywhere. Dans la plupart, in la plupart de means the majority of. Okay, la plupart de becomes la plupart des because it's followed by a noun that's plural. Dans la plupart, so that's plupart is the majority, and that noun plupart is a feminine noun, so it's always got la. So these clouds are scattered a little bit everywhere, un peu partout. Dans la plupart des galaxies, in most galaxies. Des galaxies, galaxies. Parfois, that means sometimes. Les matières, so this word matière, in its kind of scientific, spacey kind of context, means matter. It could also mean material, or it could also mean fabric, okay, so it's quite a useful word, matière. Parfois, les matières dans ces nuages, so sometimes the matter, okay, matter or materials in these clouds, ces nuages, se regroupent, come together, group together, ensemble. Ensemble also means together. Come, like this verb holds this meaning together, to group. And it's se because it's reflexive, or it's reciprocal, okay? It means they gravitate towards each other, if you like, come together. But here they've also got the word ensemble, which translates as together. Now, this is something to check. I think it means mass. I did look this up the other day, like a pile or heap. Yeah, cluster. Yeah, amas. Okay, so that in the star, in the kind of astronomical celestial context, an amas is actually a cluster, okay, a cluster of stars. Because this word is masculine and it starts with an A, instead of saying ce amas, we say cet amas, because we put a T in there in order for it to be easier to pronounce. Ce amas is harder to pronounce than cet amas. So this cluster commence à, that means starts to. So commencer is an ER verb, to start or to commence. À is the preposition that follows it. Créer, to create. De la gravité. You see there's another accent over the E there that makes it an A sound. Otherwise it would be graviteux. Graviteux. Qui attire, which attracts. Attirer, to attract. Encore, that's an E. Encore plus de matière, even more matter. So sometimes the materials in these clouds join together and this cluster starts to create gravity. De la means some. Du, de la, de. Sometimes it means some. Okay, in English we don't always put the word some into our translations. Okay, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It starts to create gravity. Excuse me. Which attracts encore plus de matière, even more materials or matter. La force, the force or the strength, or we're going to keep the word force here. La force de la gravité okay, the force of gravity, or the force of gravity fait en sorte, ensures that, que means that or than, depending on the context, ensures that les matières se réchauffent. Réchauffer, se réchauffer is to warm up, to get hotter. So the force of gravity makes the materials warm up or heat up. Éventuellement, so at the end or eventually, le centre, the center, or that's also called le noyau, core, I think, noyau, devient, yeah, like noyau could also mean like the center, the core of like a nut or an apple or something. So noyau is like core. Devient, that's the verb devenir, to become, assez chaud. Oh no, assez chaud, assez can mean quite, but when it's in front of an adjective like that, it means warm enough. It becomes warm enough pour déclencher de la fusion nucléaire. So that's the verb I was looking at, déclencher. So eventually, the center or the core of this cluster of stardust material becomes hot enough to trigger or to spark, to cause de la fusion nucléaire, nuclear fusion. Okay. À ce stade, at this stage, or at this point, ce means this, stade means stage, like a stage in a progression, you know. Une étoile, a star, est née. A star is born, from the verb naître, naître. So there you go, let's have a look again. Qu'est-ce que le soleil? What is the sun? Pour comprendre ce qu'est le soleil, to understand what the sun is, il faut d'abord, you have to first of all comprendre ce qu'est une étoile, understand what it is, what a star is. Les étoiles sont formées à partir de nuages de gaz. Stars are made up of clouds of gas, et de poussière and dust, clouds of gas and dust. Ces nuages sont éparpillés un peu partout dans la plupart des galaxies. These stars are spread out or scattered a little bit, more or less everywhere, a little bit all over the place in most galaxies. Parfois, les matières dans ces nuages se regroupent ensemble, and sometimes the material, the matter in these clouds, joins together. Cet amas commence à créer de la gravité. So this cluster, group of stuff, starts to create gravity, qui attire encore plus de matière, which attracts, brings towards it, attracts more matter. La force de la gravité, the force of gravity, fait en sorte que les matières se réchauffent. And the force of this gravity makes material, or the matter is the word, matter, heat up. Another reflexive verb there, se réchauffer, réchauffer. Eventuellement, in the end or eventually, le center of the cluster, or noyau, in the core, devient assez chaud, becomes hot enough pour déclencher, to trigger or to spark nuclear fusion, de la fusion nucléaire. À ce stade, une étoile est née. At this point, a star is born. Whew. So that's I quite like that text. It tells you what a star is, but also it's using quite basic. I'm not a scientist, but that's quite basic kind of, I'd say quite common astronomical, scientific kind of vocab. The kind of stuff that you would need to know, like if you're studying science at school. Okay, so let's just, before my daughter wakes up, let's have a look at some of the verbs. Il faut. Oh, my pen doesn't work. Okay, we'll have to do this in a kind of spoken way. So we've got the verb comprendre, which is to understand. Falloir, I don't know if you can see it there. That means to have to, or to be necessary. And it's used in here where it says il faut d'abord comprendre. You must, or it is necessary to. You follow it with an infinitive verb. Il faut. Il faut, il ne faut pas. You must not. It's necessary, it's not necessary. It's quite a common structure in French. Former is to form. Se regrouper is to bring together, or to group together. Commencer is to start or begin or commence. Créer, to create. Attirer is a nice one, to attract. Faire is to make. Se réchauffer, to warm up. Devenir, to become. Déclencher is to start, to trigger or to spark. And naître is to be born. Now I think what I'm going to have to do is leave it there because she's going to wake up. But thank you very much, and I hope you can hear me, and I hope you've learned something, and please feel free to leave a comment under the video, and if you have any questions, leave them under there and I'll try and answer them as soon as I can. And if you want to join my French club, I'll put the information in the description box below. And merci beaucoup et à bientôt. Au revoir.